Okay, students, so we'll do some examples and then you'll do some exercise for me. We'll focus on our topic for today will be percentage change. So let us look at an example and you'll further understand what the topic is basically about. So the first question is, Kimberly sold a refrigerator for $2,745, making a profit of 15% on the cost price. So this is basically the selling price. So let me just write SP. Okay, let me annotate. Okay. So here, this is basically the selling price. So Camry sold a refrigerator for $2,745, making a profit. So the profit that she made was 15% on the cost price. So if you notice here, we don't know the cost price basically, but we know she sold it for $2,745, making a profit of 15% on the cost price. Calculate the cost price of the refrigerator to the businessman. We should say businesswoman here because since Kemily is a female, right? So businesswoman. So we want to find the cost price. So first of all, let me just write down what we know. Selling price is basically $2,745. This is what we know, and we also know the profit equals 15%. Very good. So the cost price, CP, is unknown. So from the classes before, I told you that the cost price of any item is 100%. Right? So the cost price of any item is basically 100%. And here we see that Camry made a profit of 15%. So therefore, she sold the item for 100% plus 15%, which gave us a total of 115%. This is what she sold the item for, 115%. So basically, this is the selling price. The selling price now is 115%. But since we want to find the cost price, what we'll need to do is to remove this 15%. And we just can't take a 15 and put it over 100 and times it by this to remove it. So this is how we'll remove it. We'll put 100. Well, we know percentage is over 100, right? So since we want to remove the percentage, what we're going to do, we're going to put 100 at the top over 115. And now we're going to times it by the amount, which was 27.45. So this is how we remove the percentage. So you want to remove 15% from this, put 100 over 115. And now we use our calculator. We can use our calculator first and we can multiply these two numbers. And then the answer that we have on our calculator, we can divide it by 115. So let me just check and see what we'll get with a calculator. So we get 100 times 27.45 divide now by 115. Our answer will be $2,386. Money, we always write it to 2 decimal places. So let's say if you have a lot of decimal place, for example, here on the calculator I have 956.522. This is the entire answer on the calculator. Well, we're not going to write all these decimal places. We just write to 2 decimal places. But again, for us to write our answer to 2 decimal place, we have to consider the third number. So if you want to write to 2 decimal places, we just can't go and write our answer like that. We have to consider the third number. If this number is 5 and greater, we add 1 here. So since this is of 6, we're going to add 1 to this 95. And that now will give us 96. So let me just erase this. So our answer will be this. So A and S answer $2,386.96. So this is basically the cost price of the item. So this is what the refrigerator costs, and Camry sold it at $2,745 because she wanted to make a 15% profit. So this is basically the cost price of the item. All right, let us look at another example. Stop on it. Okay, so basically, I have to clear the screen first before we can look at the other example. So what you'll do, you will ensure that while you play in the video, you will copy all of this, and then you move on to the next example. So I will just erase, clear all of this from the screen. All right, so basically this is Zoom. I'm using Zoom to record the video. When I finish recording the video, I'll post it in the WhatsApp group. All right, good. So here we have another example. Take this down. Page break. Good. All right, good. So here we have Devana sold a gas stove for $2,149, incurring a loss of 12% on the cost price. So she made a loss. Determine the cost price of the gas stove. So what we know here is the selling price. Selling price is $2,149, and we also know the loss. The loss she made was 12%. The cost price is unknown. Right? So this is the information that was given. Right? So here we know that Devona sold a gas stove, but she made a loss. So if she made a loss here, therefore the cost price must be higher. Because the only way you can make a loss is you sell the item cheaper than what it costs. So we know that the cost price will be much higher than this value here. Right? The cost price will be much higher than this value. So let's see if we can find the cost price. So since again the cost price of any item is 100%. So the selling price in this case will be 100 minus 12. Why are we minusing? Because we made a loss. If we made a profit, then it's when we have added 12. So you minus 12, that will give us 88%. Good. So basically, they want to sell the item at 88% of the cost price. So again, if you want to find the cost price, what we're going to do is put 100 over 88. And now we're going to times it by the amount that she sold it for, which was $2,149. And this is basically the setup of the problem. If you like, you can put this over 1 just to make it as a fraction. And we can use our calculator here to help us solve this problem. We can multiply these two and then divide our answer by 88. Or we can take 100 and divide by 88 and then multiply by this. And that will give us our answer as well. Any way we can do it, we'll get the same answer. So let's say 100 times 2149 divided by 88 will give us, okay, I'll put the dollar sign here, $2,442. Always remember, money, we write it to 2 decimal places, right? 0, 4, 0, 5. We always look at the third number on our calculator. If that number is 5 and above, we add 1. So this is our answer. So basically, the item or the gas stove originally cost this amount. This was the original price, or this was the cost price. But Devana sold it for $21.49, so she made a loss, right? And let's say if you want to, okay, let's not do that. It's good. So this is our answer. So what you will do, you'll copy this, you'll go through back it, you can replay the video, you'll go through it, and then that's how we find the answer. Okay, so we'll clean the board or clean the screen before we work the third example. All right, so here we move to our final example. All right, and this one here is a little tricky. So I'm going to take my time while explaining it. Okay, so here say a teacher's salary was $3,300. After, we have to be careful with these words. A teacher's salary was $3,300 after she had received an increase of 10%. So after she got a 10% increase, this was her new salary. Calculate the teacher's salary if she had received an increase of 20% instead. So the good thing in maths, we have to understand the problem. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read this question again. A teacher's salary was $3,300 after she had received an increase of 10%. So originally her salary was much lower, but she got a 10% increase and her salary become $3,300. Calculate the teacher's salary if she had an increase of 20% instead. So we want to know what her salary would have been if she got 20% increase instead of the 10%. So first thing first, what we need to do is to remove 10% from this salary. We need to remove it, the 10%, and then we're gonna add 20%. So originally her salary was 100%. Okay, let me just put a percent sign there. And she had a 10% increase, right? So that gave her 110%. So this 110% was basically $3,300. That is what she received. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove the 10% from here. So I'm going to take 100 over 110 because we are removing it. This is just like how we find the cost price. We are actually removing the percent there. Times it by 3,300. And whenever you have 0, you can cancel. I can take off this 0 with that 0. If you don't want to cancel, you can use your calculator and go ahead and multiply, right? So here, I'm going to multiply. If you want, you can cancel the 11 and the 33. 11 can go into 11 one time. 11 can go into 33. 11, 3 is 33, right? So it will be 3 times. So basically 30 left here. Good. So our answer will be, so 100 times 30 going to be 3,300. Good. So this 100 times 30 going to be 3,000, sorry. So this was the teacher original salary, $3,000. But we want to know what will be her new salary if she had received a 20% increase instead. So what we're going to do, we're going to add 20%. So basically our salary is 100%. We're going to find what our salary will be for 20% increase. So this will give us 120%. So here I'm going to work that out. So I'm going to put 120 over 100. So why are we putting it over 100 and not 100 over that? Because we're going to add on 20% to 3,000. So now I'm going to times it by 3,000. We can put that over 1. I can take off these 2 zeros with those 2 zeros. And we can use our calculator. 120 times 30 will give us what? 120 times 30 will give us $3,600. So this will be our answer, 3,600. All right, good. So what you're gonna do, copy these three examples, and then I'm gonna send a few exercises for you to work. Let's see, stop this.